Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So tonight, just a casual crypto chat. Let's do an AMA on basically anything crypto. Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, Cardano, Dogecoin, Shiba. I'm just kidding. Whatever. Let's just talk about what's going on, what kind of questions do you guys have, and let's discuss. Let's discuss. So thanks for tuning in. As always, smash a like, subscribe to the channel. 2 streams every day, 11:30 and 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure you hit that notification bell in case I am late. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and CryptosRUs.com. All right, let's do this. To be honest, there's just not a whole lot of stuff to talk about. In terms of news, really nothing that I haven't covered this morning. In terms of the price, well, it's still in the 30s. Is the fear, is the FUD still around? Yes. There's just not a whole lot going on, right? Right now, it's just a matter of having patience and waiting it out. The only thing I want to show you guys is this. I just caught Anthony Papagliano started. He seems to be streaming a lot about business these days. I didn't really pay attention to his channel, but I was searching, and this came up randomly. So he's been having Peter Schiff on his channel quite a lot. And this one is labeled The Best Business Show with Anthony Papagliano, Episode 1. It seems like he wants to do an all-out business show on his YouTube channel now, and wherever else he streams or does podcasts with. But here's something interesting. Peter Schiff does say, the thing about gold bugs is they say the same thing as Bitcoin bugs, except gold bugs and Bitcoin bugs do not like each other because one feels like it's superior to the other. Very rarely do you see someone that has both or likes both. I think Robert Kiyosaki is the only one that actually recommends everyone to hold Bitcoin, silver, and gold as a hedge against inflation, where Peter Schiff, he has to protect his empire, and later on, he's actually very candid about his net worth and how he makes his money. But, if you remove gold from the equation and just hear him talk about inflation, it's the very same thing that you hear from Michael Saylor and all the economists and Paul Tudor Jones and Ray Dalio, all these guys. They're basically saying the same thing. If you just remove gold from the conversation. So let me show you guys. I'm just gonna play this, you guys. I mean, I think this is something that he explains very well. So I mean, let's just take a look, and you'll see what I'm talking about in terms of him basically explaining it as a gold bug. But it's the very same message that Bitcoin bugs need to hear. So let's take a look, or take a listen, I should say. All right, let's see here. Hold on. Let me see. Anything am I missed? Did I miss? There we go. All right, got that guy out of the way. Let me turn this on. All right, let's play this.
We're not at 3,000 or 4,000 is because the vast majority of investors do not appreciate what's happening. They see inflation picking up. They are underestimating how bad it's going to be. And at the moment, they believe the Fed is going to be able to prevent the inflation from becoming too big a problem. Even if it doesn't solve itself by being transitory, the Fed will raise interest rates. It'll taper its assets purchases, and that'll be enough. And the Fed's going to save us from, a repeat of the 1970s or something worse. They're completely wrong. Inflation is going to be much worse than anybody thinks, in the mainstream. And the Fed's going to do nothing about it. Even though inflation is going to be worse than everybody thinks, not only is the Fed not going to fight it, the Fed is going to fuel the fire. The Fed is actually going to get more aggressive in its monetary easing. It's going to expand its QE program, not taper it. It's not raising interest rates, despite the fact that inflation is going up. And when investors finally wrap their arms around that reality, they're going to bid the price of gold through the roof.
All right. So
Say this is what I'm saying. If you listen to that and you remove his last statement about gold, if you just remove that, it's the very same reason why we need to be involved with Bitcoin, right? There's really no reason why Bitcoin bugs. Oh, my microphone is all. I mean, my headset is all scrambled. But there's really no reason why that Bitcoin bugs and gold bugs really need to hate each other. But I do think Peter brings it upon himself because he's one of the biggest trolls, right? Whenever Michael Saylor tweets or whenever Elon tweets or whoever tweets, he's always diving in trying to bash Bitcoin. I think he does it on purpose for attention. But if you actually listen to what he's saying about inflation, I think that makes a whole lot of sense, right? Now, the question is, can Bitcoin really act as a hedge against inflation? Because this is a new narrative. This is something that is unproven, right? So I get how the gold bugs will say that. Like, hey, gold has been around for thousands and thousands of years. So it has withstood the test of time. Bitcoin hasn't yet, right? The last time Bitcoin went through a big, stock market crash, right? Bitcoin didn't do so well, right? So if there is hyperinflation or inflation, right, is it really go a hedge against inflation? Because it's really unproven, right? So that's the thing. We don't know. But if you look at the properties of Bitcoin, this is what Michael Saylor also talks about nonstop. In terms of, if you look at Bitcoin, it's like basically a pharmaceutical grade of gold. All the right properties and arguably even more scarce, right? So it should act like a hedge. But you know what? Let's just see, right? I do believe that Bitcoin will stand up, right? Maybe not as well at first, because as we see, there's still volatility going on, right? But as more and more people and institutions and public trade companies start buying and holding it more, and as we get less and less Bitcoin residing on the exchanges, as the reserves go lower and lower, that's when we'll really see Bitcoin stand on its own. So that's what I believe. I just want to start with that, right? But hey, let's see if it happens. Right? There's a lot of talk about inflation, like this doomsday inflation scenario that Peter has described. A lot of people is describing the same thing. Is it really go come? Because there's people on the other side that says no, the Fed will fix this, or the economy will fix this, or tech will fix this, right? But will they really, or will it just get worse, much worse than anyone on TV is expecting, right? So I guess we'll find out in the near future, because there's still a lot of printing going on. There's still a lot of quantitative easing going on, right? And I don't think we have to wait much longer to find out. Anyways, that's I just want to lead with that. Today light and casual, so let's just go with the flow here. Let me scroll up. Enjoy your video on the Kia Carnival. I'll say I just released a video on the Carnival, the new minivan. That is a fantastic minivan. It's not cheap, but it's the best by far. Those of you guys that are families, that have families, you should check it out. It's really, really good minivan. Anyways, who is Anthony Papuano? He's a financial guy. He's a financial guy that's really invested in crypto. Like, he led a lot of investments, a lot of rounds on very popular crypto companies like Coinbase and BlockFi and others. And he runs his own fund, and he's a podcaster. So he's kind of all over the place. An analyst, a podcaster, and a funds guy, investor. Pretty well known in the crypto community. In case you guys are new and you don't know, just look him up. He's really all over the place, and someone that's really smart. He's also the one that I credit that converted Jim Cramer to a Bitcoiner. Except it turns out that was a false, because Jim Cramer recently just developed weak hand and sold all his Bitcoins. Right, so Jim was faking it. He was acting like he really understood, but not really. All right, so Moving down. Tammin says, I'm also a silver and gold stacker. I like both. Well, that's good to hear. You don't hear many people, you don't hear Bitcoin Maximus say that. And I get it, because if you look at the performance of gold for the last 11, 12 years, it has been pretty bad. It just recently broke its all-time high, right? And then came right back down. So had you held gold for the last 12 years, you're pretty much even. You might be even down a little bit, right? But if you compare that to Bitcoin's performance, obviously, one basically went like this, and one went like this to the moon, right? So I get it. I get why people hate gold, especially, or silver, especially if you've been holding for over a decade. Steven asked, do you believe we are going sideways until after the final grayscale unlock? People need to see it as nonsense before we start moving. Yeah, I think that could be a catalyst. I've been saying July 16th, which is Friday, right? It starts unlocking from 16, 17, 18. I think 18 may be the big one, and then it kind of dies down after a few days, right? So I've been talking about that grayscale unlock for a long time, especially like basically the last few days. Like I've been talking about nonstop. I think a lot of people are still fearful over that grayscale. There's a lot of articles talking about how 40,000 Bitcoin is being unlocked and so forth, but it's really the shares, not Bitcoin. There's no indication that Grayscale themselves are going to sell any Bitcoin from the trust. That would just be ridiculous. Their model is not like that. Their model is you buy Bitcoin or you buy whatever, it goes in a trust, that's it. The shares could go up and down. That's why you have a premium on the shares. But outside of that, whatever's in there, it stays in there. So even if a shares dump and the negative premium goes even lower, so what? That doesn't affect any. It doesn't sell off any Bitcoin, right? So I think there's a lot of misconceptions over it, and we'll see. It's the end of the week. Afterwards, that's when maybe we really start moving. I've been showing you guys a lot of metrics, right? That indicate right now is bottom or it's the flipping point, right? There's a lot of indicators that show that, and it could be right after the grayscale event, because so many people are waiting for it to happen. Sorry, I had to let my dog out every time. Every time I start, he wants to get up and go out. When am I going to interview Popeye Sailor, or you mean Sailor Moon? Mr. Michael Saylor. I have not heard from his people. I'm thinking about just like tweeting at him or DMing him nonstop. So we'll see. We'll see if he responds. I've noticed that Michael have not done any interviews recently. I think he may be getting sick of doing so many interviews all the time. So I don't know, but yeah, I'm gonna reach out to him. I'll bring up different topics, ones that he'll enjoy. CS asked, do you suggest using staking during bear market? If so, favorite coins to stake? Yes, if you're a long-term holder, and this is something that a lot of people are doing already. That's why all these companies have so much TVL. If you're a long-term holder and you're like, hey, screw it, I don't care about day-to-day volatility. I'm just gonna hold long-term, and I'm gonna DCA into that. Well, then yeah, staking or depositing into a lending company where you're earning interest, you could do so in a lot of places natively, say on Voyager. You could do it on exchanges. You could do it on BlockFi or Celsius or Nexo, right? You could do it a lot of places. You could put it in farms, although they're riskier. So, and what do you suggest? Well, it depends on what you're holding. Like, for example, Cardano, you could natively stake it in their own pool to power the network. A lot of other projects like Energy, you could do that, right? They have a node, they have a master node. I mean, there's a lot of projects. E-money, you could do that, get almost 30% by staking in their wallet, just a one-click stake. You could do that with Theta. You could do that with many projects. It just depends on what you're holding. All right, I'm scrolling down. Any truth to time bandits? I have no idea what that is. Brian Barbie says, gold and silver has survived every man-made fiat currency in society and history. You mean the collapse of every man-made fiat currency in society. That's true. But, once Wall Street started paperizing gold, that's when things have changed. Gold did really well in the 70s and 80s and 90s, even up to 2000s. But then since the introduction of paper gold, it seems like that's where gold just stopped. Like literally this 1800 was 800 per ounce back in 2008, and then now it's below 1800. So ever since that, it seems like it's been crippled. So I don't know. Thanks, bud. I hope it does act as a hedge. Gold is old thinking. BTC is gold that you could carry on USB. Yes. Now you guys see I'm trying to play catch up. So you guys probably asked this a few minutes ago. So I'm scrolling down. And did I catch up? No, I didn't catch up. I am about to here. FK asks, hey George, I've been investing in crypto since 2014, but not in a good place. How is that possible? If you've been investing since 2014, May, I got money from inheritance. I believe in the future of this technology. We're still early adopters. I put 80% of my money in crypto assets. Staking, please advise for long term. Well, I don't know why you would not be in a good place. If you've been investing since 2014, you know that you lived through 2 cycles like me, right? And you know that holding, DCA and holding works, right? So if you got inheritance in May, you probably put it in at the top and you went a little bit high with 80%, right? But the thing is, you still had that 20%. You could utilize that to DCA, or you don't, okay? And you just simply hold. I mean, you lived through 2 cycles, right? You know that every cycle, Bitcoin back in 2014 dropped to $160. Look at where it is now, right? Every cycle, Bitcoin goes higher, right? So if this is your inheritance, why not just hold it, right? So not financial advice, but I mean, I don't think you're in as bad as shape as you think you are. All right, moving on. AT, thanks for no fluff, honest content. I too am a vet fan, but wants your thought about Origin Trail. Can it compete? Can its lack of connections to China help it in the West? Origin Trail has been out for a very long time, and they're in the supply chain space. Lately, I've been hearing they've been getting into COVID tracking and so forth, but they just don't have the traction. I've heard good things about them, and they have survived the bear market, so they can do well. But right now, they don't have the traction, and they haven't really picked up since 2017. So where are they at? 125 market cap, 125 million, and they just need to get more traction. That's it. That's all I can say about it. Scrolling down. Ryan asks about Sand, future of play to earn games. Well, Sandbox. Wait, it's a Sandbox, right? Yeah, Sandbox. I think Axis Infinity proved that a really, really popular game can do very well. Right? Axis Infinity went up like 100% within a week. Sandbox isn't doing too bad either. I mean, total cap at 1.2 billion. That's quite a lot. Quite high, right? So play to earn games could definitely work as long as you get enough people to play it and actually have interest in it. So you said land sale on Thursday. That could be very well for them. And they're part of Animoca Brands, who I interviewed the leader, Yatsu, before, and he's a very smart guy. I mean, he's a really smart guy. What are the best long-term 3-year or more altcoins to buy and hold for long? There's too many. Just watch the video I did, I think just yesterday, about the top coins. The ones that have done the best during this decline, and I think that'll give you a clue on which ones to look at. There's too many to name right now. All right, going down the list. I did answer UFK. Who makes a better burger, you or Jordan? I'm hoping this bull run goes to the moon, so you two quit fast food. Hang in there. You know what? It's tough. It's tough. Those late shifts are tough, but you know you gotta do what you gotta do to hustle and make money so that you could DCA, right? So nothing wrong with that. Meld, a lot of people been hyping up Meld, this new project on Cardano. It's supposed to be like an all-in-one DeFi app, but it's too new to make that call right now. I think someone Diamond says, I think Wells Fargo is canceling personal loans. Yes, personal loans, and they're just like saying no. And they even warn you if they cancel your account, your credits get dinged. It's like it's not even your fault. It's their fault that they have to do it, but they're dinging you. So you tell me how that's fair. Wozniak's token eForce, that's been around for a while. That's it doesn't seem like that's going anywhere. It's some kind of energy trading play, and it's just not doing very well. Not very well at all. Orchid is a decentralized VPN. Lux flows ass, and they've been hanging around. You know, decentralized VPN is a new concept. Can it take off? Sure. Right? But most people just stick with traditional VPN like NordVPN, which you see on the screen. But, you know, maybe Orchid decentralized VPN can take off. And I know two of the founders. I went to high school with them. Iana, Kurt asks, would I pay a boatload of tax purchasing USDC coin using my Coinbase card for all purchases? Purchasing USDC shouldn't be no, because you're not profiting from USDC, right? So it's pegged at $1, so you're making no profit. But if you use the USDC to buy something else and then you switch back to USDC, then yes. But ask your accountant. All right, what did I miss? I gotta scroll up a little bit. Scrolling up. I missed a lot here. Okay, now I'm going down. I sent some Matic from one exchange to another, but selected the wrong chain. I should have used URC20, but didn't. Are my coins lost forever? No. Email the exchange. It might be a long time before they respond, but email them. Most likely they can reverse it. They can send it back to you. Where do you see the partnership between Crypto.com and UFC? Where do you see the growth? I'm not sure, honestly. I mean, yesterday you saw it everywhere on the Octagon, on T-shirts, everywhere. But will it really help them gain users and start using Crypto.com app? I don't know. It's unknown at this point. Like these kind of traditional marketing, which, you know, gets millions and millions of views, but I find them, they just like, you know, you don't really pay attention. When I watch the UFC fights, I have no clue the banners and what's on the floor and what they're wearing. I have no clue. I don't pay attention to that. So I don't know how many people will. Maybe there's going to be more, right? Maybe they'll go do some NFTs with them or something. Who knows? It's the start. Joshua, the answer is no. Burn to earn. Why is MM taking off like a rocket? Because there's too many shillers that are getting into it and promoting it. Probably like you. That's probably not an honest answer, but that will die. You know, die hard. I would highly recommend getting out of that, and for no one else to look at it. Someone named Marcus Slayer saying we are Marcus Slayers. Okay. Thoughts on Giannis rookies. Giannis rookies will explode if they win, but right now they're kind of struggling 2-1. Giannis seems to be doing all he can to win, but I still think Bucks will pull it off. Crab King, should everyone stop buying these sideways levels? We all stop buying, the price will finally move out of 29K, 41K, right? Yeah, it will contribute, but a lot of the, you know, in my opinion, this 30K where we're at is like a base because all the retail investors left. If all the retail investors started buying, then I think it will have some kind of movement. Like right now, I think most retail investors did stop buying already, and a lot of the new ones already left. Right? Everyone's kind of standing around waiting. That's the problem. That's the problem. Anton, I appreciate that. All right, I missed a few things. Steven asked, I bought a whole bunch of BTC with my Chase account, and now Chase is shutting down my personal account. Have you heard of this happening? I have. These banks are evil, They control your money. I've heard of people getting warnings saying, hey, you can't be buying so much Bitcoin, right? And yeah, unfortunately, that still happens. And the funny thing is, Chase, they have their own crypto and they have their own chain. And they're advising their wealth clients to buy Bitcoin. Yet, for everyone else, they're trying to shut down their accounts. So, unfortunately, Steven, you just have to move to a bank that's more crypto friendly. Pete asked about Anchor. Anchor is like a staking project. Basically, they allow you to create nodes to stake in all your favorite chains. And it's a one-click deployment, but it does cost you. So Anchor's doing that. There's also like combining, like micro staking, combining your crypto with others and staking, and there's a few other things. It's okay project. It's not something I'm terribly excited about. If you like Luna, check out their new Launchpad Pylon protocol. Okay, although Launchpads don't do very well. None of them, have done very well. Polka Starter was the most popular one, and that has not really gone anywhere either. Thoughts on Giannis, BGS, Prestige 10 rookies? I mean, come on. What kind of question is that? I am George. Good job on Altcoin Daily. I appreciate that. The brothers are pretty cool. Pretty cool. Although Aaron came off a little... what did it say? I don't know. He came off a little arrogant. At least that's what the audience was saying. But I think both brothers are kind of cool. I love to do something with them going forward. Will Wells Fargo closing costs affect credit cards? I have no clue. Maybe it will. They have a 2 billion asset limitation. That was their hand slap for creating all these fake accounts and getting away with it. They created endless accounts, forced people to get auto loans that they didn't need. Yet, the only thing that happened was to put this 2 billion cap on their assets. So no one went to jail. They did fraud. I mean, they admitted to committing fraud. Yet no one went to jail. The bank is still operational. They're still thriving. I don't know how that makes any sense. I mean, I guess that's just, when you're a big bank, that's just how it is. Sora, I love the CEO of Sora. You just got to check out his picture on Sora's website. That'll convince you that that's a fantastic project. I sidelined 20K, have 50K invested, finally happy either way, mostly alts. Hey, you're picking up the good alts, you're dollar cost averaging. Good for you. I'm from Nigeria. Should I add or partner with someone that does TA to help us get good buys, entries into these goods projects? That is you have to form an opinion on that, whether or not that's worth it to you. But for me and for most people on this channel, they're playing a long game. They're not trying to time top or bottom because usually that's impossible to do. So I would suggest spreading out buys. If you have $100, $500, $1,000, spread out 5-10 ways, right? So if you get in, it goes down significantly, you could buy back in. Goes down significantly, you could buy back in. You could cost average long term. But if it doesn't go down and goes up, then you're in the green, right? So I think that's a better way to do it, and just do it over a long haul, or just set a schedule. Set a schedule to buy a certain amount every week, every 2 weeks, or every month. It's up to you, something like that. Render, I'm not a fan of at all. Renting out GPUs, that just doesn't make any sense, especially on the Ethereum network, which makes less sense. Not a fan of Render, Chad. Ramp, I have not done a deep dive yet. A lot of people have been asking me. I do need to do something. I need to look them up. So unfortunately, I can't talk about Ramp right now. Brian says, give a man a gun and he could rob a bank. Give a man a bank and he could rob the world. You know what's funny? People have told me to read this book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, and I only got through like the very first few pages. But it talks about how the Federal Reserve was created. And basically, 6 men who controlled 1/4 of the world's assets because they represented JP Morgan, the Rothschilds, someone called Warbug, and there's like another person. But basically, these bankers got together and wanted to create a federal bank, the Federal Reserve, and they didn't want to call it bank because it has a negative connotation. And the reason for creating it is not to help people at all. It's for more control, so they could control things. They could actually pass on the blame to the Fed, to the government, and they can control the rates. And if you just read about it, it's really it's mind-boggling how some of these things have actually happened. It's wild. But anyways, I just got through the first few pages. If you guys are interested, check out that book. It's a long book, but anyways, banks are inherently evil. I mean, it's a cartel. The Federal Reserve was basically created by a cartel. I mean, that's really what it is. Cartel has a really negative connotation, but it's just basically a group that is trying to work together and cause things to happen in favor of them, and that's exactly what happened. Anyways, get on audio. I was thinking about that, but then it's just I didn't have time to do that. I just ordered it. What else is there? Maybe you didn't see my last chat. How about Pundy opening a storefront, a first for crypto? Maybe not. They're not a first. Serum Labs opened a storefront and they collapsed. Storefront is not, in my opinion, it doesn't help. It does not help at all. Do you see Square having any storefronts? No. They just sell their dongles at Best Buy or whatever, right? Pundy has a lot of their POS systems. They could sell it at retail stores. They don't need their own store. Actually, now that you told me that, I think that's a horrible idea. It takes a lot of, manpower and just all unnecessary costs. The name of the book is The Creature from Jekyll Island. My FK says my dad's a CEO of a bank, biggest thief ever. I hope your dad doesn't see that. Banks like Wells Fargo make billions off of our saving account. We make nothing, keep our money in the bank accounts. Crypto's not a Ponzi, banks are. I mean, it's true. And I only know the very little basics about fractional banking, which banks now do not need to have any reserves. I mean, it's someone wrote to me. He's in commercial banking. He wrote a long email, and he's like, "You're looking at that wrong way. It's not that if you deposit $100 that the banks will lend out 90% of that, right? It works this way. If you deposit $100, then the bank could go to the Fed and borrow $1,000. That's how it was before. So they could borrow 90% of what you deposited, right? But now there's no reserve requirement. So they could borrow simply any amount, and the Fed is just throwing out the money because it's COVID and anything goes right now, right? The money printer never stops. So I mean, if you think about fractional banking, it's really, really, really bad. But that's another reason why people like crypto, because they want to get away from that, because it just seems like it's a house of cards that's about to collapse any second. So it goes in line with what you're saying, Michael. All right, last few questions. How do we know for sure there are only 21 million Bitcoin? It's in code. It's on the blockchain. You could use Blockchain Explorer and look at it. And we haven't gotten to 21 million yet. We're at like 18 point something. So that will be the limitation. When a bear market comes, do you think it'll drop all the way to 15K or lower? It really depends. I mean, if you're looking at previous history, like 85% drops, it depends on how high we go. If we end up at 300,000, well, then we'll only drop to like 45 or 50,000, right? But if we're at 100,000, then yeah, maybe we drop to 15,000. But it also depends, like what you said. All the institutional money that's in, are they really go sell? Are they really go dump? Or do they continue to hold? If they continue to hold, then the drop could be much less than previous drops. So yes, our RLC, they're like a decentralized computing, cloud computing, right? Low cap project doing big. They've been around for quite some time. So, decentralized computing, still early. It's very hard to get companies to get away from AWS or Azure, but eventually they might. But right now, it's very hard to convince them otherwise. That's why there's various projects that's in this space. Akash Network's also in this space, and they haven't done well either. Should I cash 1/4 of my Honeywell shares to become an ETH whole coiner? That depends on you. I don't know how well Honeywell has been doing. I can't imagine it's been doing well, but ETH has been doing relatively well. You can see within the last year, it went up 741%. I have a feeling that your Honeywell stock did not go up 741% within the last year, right? So you decide. You decide. All right. PundyX did as marketing and transformed an old foreign currency exchange building into a crypto exchange more than a storefront. Well, okay, that sounds better. But the way you first presented it as a storefront doesn't sound very good. But they were doing it to prove that they can create a fancy crypto exchange storefront, especially if there's some kind of historical significance to it. Okay, I could see that. But still, I don't think that's going to do much for them. All right, last few things. Are you against labs, the fractional NFT real estate? Yes, not a fan of fractional NFT real estate. I mean, fractional real estate is bad enough, but then now you add NFTs in there, regulations, headaches. I mean, there's going to be a lot of it. So I think it's just too early. Theta will go north. I'm a big fan of Theta. I've talked about Theta quite a lot. I have it in my sample portfolio, which I still need to add in Live Coin Watch, but I'm a big fan of Theta. What's the lowest you got on a top 100 coin? What does that mean? The lowest market cap coin? I don't know. I don't know what you mean. All right. That's pretty much it. Overall, it's boring, I know. A lot of people's very bearish. A lot of people's like, yeah, crypto's done, right? They look at the last month, 2 months, but this is what I like to look at, the 1-year history. Look at the 1-year performance, and then you'll realize that nothing is in red. Almost everything is in green, hundreds to thousands of percent up. This is what you need to focus on. Long-term investing, and 1 year is not even that long. You go back 3 years, these are, of course, even higher, okay? This is what I like to focus on. Short-term, non-movement, sideways movement, even maybe dips, volatility. I see it as a gift. I see it as a price of admission for being in crypto, right? As fast as it could go up, yes, it could come down just as fast. But you got to realize why you're in the game, right? You're investing for future technology, future DeFi, right? Future of finance, future money, right? These are the reasons why we're in it long term. All right? So focus on those things, guys, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, and that's it. Last few questions. AMP, I like it. Mana, would it be replaced? Right now, no. Sandbox is the closest competitor, but no one else is close. All right, guys, that's it.